Welcome to this video about the WebLogic scripting tool. The scripting tool is like a Swiss Army knife. It's a small and very useful tool that can accomplish a lot of things in a very short period of time. It's implemented in Jython, which is Python running in the JVM, which again means it's playing nice with Java. It's easy to call Java objects from the scripting tool or from Jython. It's a good way to replace the configuration wizard, which is used to create domains, and the scripting tool can do the same just from the command line. Also, the template builder could be replaced with the scripting tool. And if you're doing command line deployment with WebLogic deployer, it could again be done with a scripting tool. And the scripting tool can replace the whole admin console. That means it can do all kind of configuration changes and retrieve monitoring values. WLST is running in offline mode. If you just start it up, it's not connected to an admin server. That means offline mode. And of course, it can connect to an admin server, and then it's running in online mode. To start the scripting tool, all you need to do is run the start script, which is called WLST, and it's located in the WebLogic server directory under common bin. You could also set the WebLogic home variable and put the WebLogic jar file in the class path, and then you can run it from the command line using Java WebLogic WLST. If there is a script already that you have programmed before, you can execute the script. Otherwise, you can use the scripting tool interactively. So to start the scripting tool, I run the WLST command, which is located under middleware WebLogic server common bin. Right now it's in offline mode. It's not connected to a running admin server. And to connect to an admin server, it's connect, username and the password. It assumes a default URL, which is a T3 localhost 7001. It's connecting to WebLogic server, which is running in the background right here. And you see also the prompt is changing from offline to server config. Now, if you don't feel comfortable in having those credentials in your script, what you should do is say store user config, which will create a key file and a user configuration file. And instead of having your clear text credentials in the script, they will be encrypted in the file, and the file will be read in when you say connect. Now we're in the server config area, and to see what's there, you can say ls, which retrieves all the attributes and all the operations and all the child mbeans. And if you want to restrict this ls to, let's say, just a child mbeans, it's lsc. And as you see here, you have to type the Python syntax to have it correct and to make it work. If you want to restrict it to attributes only, it's lsa. And if you want to see the operations that exist, it's an lso, which returns all the operations. Let's see the child mbeans again. If you look at this, there is a type service, and if you say cd service, we can navigate to service. And again, if you do an ls, you see there is an admin server and a managed server 1 configuration. If you want to make your life a little bit easier, there is a command which is called ease syntax, which is not officially documented. What it does is it allows you to type ls instead of ls like this. And you can type lsc for the child elements. And it's working for most commands which only have one parameter, one argument. So I could say cd m1 to look at the managed server 1, and I could retrieve all its attributes. and you see it displays all these attributes here, but they only read only. So if you want to change them, remember what we did with the admin console. We have to mimic what we did with the admin console. That means first of all we need to get to a writable area in the MBean server, which we get to the edit MBean server. So if you type edit, we end up in the edit MBean server. And then again, we can navigate to servers, server 1. And if we do an LSA, you see all of a sudden these attributes, they are writable. You cannot change them right now because first of all, remember we need this change session. That means instead of clicking on lock and edit, it's called start edit here. And the start edit command, it starts an edit session and it says be sure to save and activate your session once you are done. Now I'm interested in the SSL listen port of managed server 1, so I go to SSL, WLS, there is only M1, and let's look at all the attributes which are available. It's listen port, which is 7005 at the moment, and I want to change it. Now changing the listen port could be as easy as set listen port, and we put the new value, which I'll take 7777, and if I would say get listen port, it retrieves the 777. Now changing to the admin console and doing a refresh here, you will see it will also change the behavior of the change center because it's actually the same change session that you see here, and we could activate or undo it even from the console. Now I don't want to do this. What I want to do is save, which means all the changes are persisted. Even if you restart the server, it just starts up in the same state now. And your changes are still persisted and you can just activate them. So now they're activated and the managed server has a new SSL port number. Look at servers. Let's look at managed server 1 and let's check the listen port. The SSL listen port, it says 777. Now it's time to mention that there is an online help. If you type help, you can get all help information about the different commands. And it's also interesting, let's say if you type print current managed object, which is the CMO, it will display you the name com.bea, which is the domain part of the name managed server 1, type SSL, and server M1. So this is the MBean domain name, which is displayed here. To summarize what we've done so far is we've been using LS to display MBeans, MBean attributes, MBean operations, and child MBeans. And we used CD to navigate. And then I did the edit to get to the writable edit tree. I did start edit to start a change session, just the same way as in the admin console. I did save, and then you either do activate or you undo your changes. And this is a good way to script configuration changes. And of course, this is much better than just following an instruction from a Word document that tells you how to set up a WebLogic server domain, because it's repeatable and it's less error prone. Now, I want to show you these commands to change the MBean service and to change from configuration to the runtime MBean server. As you see here, we're still in the edit area, and if you wanted to go back to server config, you just say server config. And if you ever want to go to edit, you say edit. And if you want to go to the domain runtime, you say domain runtime, which gets you there. If you do an LSC, you see the child elements, and you see under this domain runtime, you see the server runtimes. So what we can do is cd server runtimes and ls. Now remember what you've seen on the configuration mbean server. It was admin server and managed server 1. Actually, managed server 1 is configured, but it's not running. This is because there's no runtime data visible here. So I do a cd admin server ls, and you see all kind of data here. Actually, I'm interested in what is there regarding JDBC, because looking at my WebLogic domain, I've got a data source which is called servdb, and it's targeted as well to the admin server, and it's of course targeted to the managed server 1. And I want to retrieve runtime values from this data source. So doing a LSC on the level of the admin server, it retrieves the child elements. And if you look here, there is something starting with JDBC. So I just use this and I see what's there. And again, it's admin server. And you see there is a JDBC data source runtime mbeans. Let's navigate there. And you see there is one element. It's the servdb. So cd servdb. And let's see all the attributes. Interesting enough, you can see all the monitoring runtime values from this data source. And remember when I told you about average wait time for a connection from a connection pool, which is a good example for monitoring data for a data source. You can see it here, wait seconds, high count. Actually, this data source was never used. This is why all the values here are set to 0. But if you wanted to retrieve it in a script, what you would do is say, well, get wait seconds, high count, and it would return the value, which is a 0 here in this example. Okay, so you've seen how to get from server config to the domain runtime, from the domain runtime, which includes all the server runtimes, to the server runtime of the admin server. And there is a command that will display the JNDI tree as well. And there's a command to navigate to the custom mbeans, which are the mbeans that you program yourself, which I will show you in just a minute. There is another command which is called config to script, which will export a complete domain, including all configurations, including all deployments, and write it out as a script. And the find command is actually very interesting. It's the answer to the question, how are people supposed to know on which level to find such an mbean attribute? Now, let me go away from the runtime and go back to server config. And let's say you're interested in maybe again the listen port. What you could do is you could just say find listen port, and it would look for listen port in all available configuration mbeans. And you see there is one in service admin server, and there is one in SSL for the admin server, and it's the same thing for the managed server 1. So this is one possibility of finding the subdirectory, the tree, the right level of the mbean hierarchy to retrieve such values. It's only working for configuration mbeans, and there is even an easier way that saves you from all the interactive navigation, or even from the scripting. Now, what I can do to record a script is I need this link, and therefore I need to start an edit session. I'll click on record, which means it's starting an edit session, which is the script is written into the domain directory. I'll change the settings back from the managed server 1, so I'll make it 7005 again. Oops. I'll save this and I activate my changes. And there's no restart required. And let me check the script. You see it's recording the CD. It's not setting anything here, but it's setting for service managed server 1, SSL managed server 1. It's enabling SSL and it's setting the port number to 7005 and it's doing the activate. This is a good way to get the MBean hierarchy automatically by just recording it. Now, there's a lot more things you could do with the scripting tool. Actually, you can use it to connect to Node Manager. You can use it to start and stop the admin server or manage servers. You can create domains, as I told you. You could update domains. You could create resources, such as JDBC or JMS or work managers. And of course, you can use all this to set up your domains if you start with an empty domain in, let's say, a production environment. You could create all your resources based on a WLST script. And of course, the WLST script is doing JMX, is running JMX against the WebLogic server.
Thanks for watching. Let's stay in touch.